So you want to really understand how California is fighting hate.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to wade through tons of reports and articles.
Yeah.
I get it. We all feel that way sometimes.
It's so right.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing in this deep dive today.
Okay, cool.
We're going to break down all those press releases about the California versus hate campaign.
Sounds good.
We're going to take a close look at some of the specific programs they're running.
Okay.
And we'll even dig into the latest hate crime statistics just to give you the big picture.
The big picture, yeah.
Without all the headache.
All right. Well, one thing that really stands out to me about how California's approaching this is that they're not just waiting around to react after something bad happens. They're trying to build a system that supports victims, but also works to prevent hate.
I see what you mean.
From happening in the first place.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Sure.
One of the things we see right away is the California versus hate hotline.
Right.
We know it's helped over 1,000 people, and they've gotten over 2,000 calls just in that first year.
Wow.
What do those numbers tell us, though?
Well, first off, I think it shows that there's a huge need for something like this.
Right, yeah.
But it's not just about reporting hate crimes, you know?
There's that.
This hotline connects people to all these other services, too.
Like what?
Like legal aid, mental health support, all kinds of resources that are so important when someone's been targeted by hate.
Yeah.
It's not just about keeping track of the problem. It's about helping people heal or recover.
I was looking at where these calls are coming from.
Yeah.
And it's really not just a big city thing.
Right.
Nearly 80% of California's counties are represented in these reports.
Really?
So this is happening everywhere.
Wow, that's a lot.
And you know another thing that really stood out to me?
What's that?
Is how much of this discrimination is based on race and ethnicity.
Oh, absolutely.
These hotline reports are showing a lot of anti-Black bias, then anti-Latino, and anti-Asian bias.
Yeah, it's disturbing how much of this is still happening.
It really makes you wonder what's being done to address these specific types of hate.
It's a good question.
Like you said, they're trying to prevent it, but how?
Right. Well, that's where something like the California versus Hate Pride Tour comes in.
Oh, yeah.
They're really trying to get out ahead of this and support LGBTQ+ communities, which is especially important now because we're seeing this increase in hate crimes that target sexual orientation and gender identity.
Okay, so they're being proactive.
Exactly.
Instead of just talking about supporting these communities, they're actually going out there and being visible.
Right.
Do you think that actually works?
Well, I mean, look at where they're going with this tour.
Okay.
Fresno. West Hollywood, Sacramento, Chico.
Wow.
Even a float at San Francisco Pride.
So they're covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, they are.
And by taking this message directly to these communities, I mean, it shows people they're not alone.
Exactly.
It's like they're trying to build up this feeling that these communities can stand up to hate.
Resilience.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we've talked about the hotline and this Pride tour, but we have to look at the bigger picture, too.
The data.
Yeah, the 2023 hate crime report.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mixed bag from what I saw.
It really is.
Good news and bad news.
Definitely.
So it's not a simple story at all.
No, not at all.
For example, overall hate crimes actually went down in 2023. Compared to 2022.
Compared to the year before, yeah.
Which you'd think would be good.
Right. You would think so.
But then when you look at the trend over the past 10 years, hate crimes have gone up a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a long-term increase.
Right.
So we can't celebrate just yet.
And of course, there's the problem of underreporting.
Right.
Which makes you wonder if we're even getting the full story.
Exactly.
Like how much of this is really happening.
It's hard to say for sure.
The report actually talks about how difficult it is to know.
It does.
For sure how bad the problem is.
Yeah, you never know how many people aren't reporting these crimes.
So what were some of the things in the report that really jumped out at you? Anything that really surprised you?
Well, one of the most surprising things was the increase in anti-Jewish hate crimes.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty significant.
Wow.
And it just shows that some communities are really vulnerable.
That's sad.
And, you know, even within the LGBTQ+ community, it's not all the same.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, anti-gay male hate crimes actually went down.
Okay.
But there was a big increase in those targeting the whole LGBTQ+ community.
It's just heartbreaking.
It is.
You know, it's hard to hear all this and feel like we're making real progress.
Yeah, It's a lot to process.
You have to wonder if we're doing enough.
It raises some big questions
about how we can really deal with these hate crimes and how different groups need different things.
Yeah, one solution isn't going to work for everybody.
Right, exactly.
You know, speaking of addressing hate crimes, we should talk about the LA versus Hate Unity Coalition.
Oh, yeah.
It's not every day you see celebrities like Alyssa Milano and Paul George getting involved in something like this.
It's pretty amazing.
But they're not just lending their names.
Right.
They're actually involved.
In things like United Against Hate Week.
Exactly.
Which is all about getting communities to stand up against hate.
Yeah, all across the state.
And they're doing all this because hate crimes are on the rise in LA County.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In 2022, they went up 18%.
That's a huge jump.
That's the highest it's been in over 20 years.
Wow.
And if you look even further back...
But all the way to 2013?
Yeah, all the way back then.
Right.
Hate crimes have gone up by 143%.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's a huge problem.
Yeah, it really shows how important the work of this coalition is.
Yeah, and they're not just raising awareness either.
Right.
Their LA versus Hate hotline has gotten over 2,700 reports since it started.
That's a lot.
And over 800 just this past year.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's so important to have these other ways to report hate crimes.
It is.
Because not everyone feels safe going to the police.
Absolutely.
But, you know, California isn't just reacting to these incidents.
Right.
They're being proactive. They're trying to prevent hate from happening.
Exactly.
By building stronger communities.
Yes. Stronger and more inclusive.
And that's where organizations like the YMCA come in.
Oh, the YMCA.
Yeah, they have this program called Stop the Hate.
Okay. I'm interested to hear more about that.
Let's talk about it in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. You know what really impresses me about the YMCA? It's that they're focusing on prevention.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like they're not just waiting for hate crimes to happen and then trying to deal with them. They want to stop them before they even start.
That's a big goal, though.
It is.
How are they doing that?
Well, one of the ways is through this program they have called the Peace and Healing Center. And it provides this safe space for victims of hate crimes to come and process what happened to them and to get support.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
They also have workshops.
Oh, wow.
And training sessions on things like conflict resolution and diversity and inclusion.
So they're really trying to get at the root of the problem.
They are.
By helping people understand where hate comes from and how to deal with it.
Exactly.
They're also doing a lot of work with young people through this program called Global Change Agents.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that one.
It uses art and cultural education to try and build empathy and understanding between kids from different backgrounds.
I like that.
It's a cool idea, right?
Yeah, it is.
Using art and culture to kind of break down barriers and build bridges between people. Do you think that could actually work?
Well, I think it has a lot of potential.
Okay.
Because if you expose young people to different cultures and perspectives, it helps them see the world in a different way and challenge those biases that we all have. And, you know, the YMCA isn't doing this alone.
Okay, good.
They've partnered with a lot of other organizations.
Like who?
Well, like the California Department of Social Services and others. So they're really trying to reach as many people as possible.
You need partnerships.
You do.
When you're trying to tackle a problem like hate.
Exactly.
Because it's such a big issue.
It is.
That no one group can solve it on their own.
Right.
It takes everyone working together.
You know something else that's great about the YMCA?
What's that?
Is that they really try to make their program specific to the communities they're working with.
That's important.
It is.
Because one size doesn't fit all right.
No, it doesn't.
So they're taking the time
to
understand the challenges that different groups are facing.
Absolutely.
And tailoring their approach accordingly.
Exactly.
So it's not just a generic program that they're applying everywhere.
Right. They want to build trust and make people feel like they belong.
That's so important.
And they want to give people the tools to make a difference in their own communities.
So it's about empowering people to be part of the solution.
Yes, and I think this goes back to what we were saying before about the whole California versus hate campaign.
Okay.
It's not just about responding to hate after it happens.
Right.
It's about trying to build a state where everyone feels safe and valued.
And respected.
And respected, yes.
That's a great vision.
It is.
But it makes you wonder what we can each do to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about all these programs and statistics. But where does the individual fit in?
Right. What can one person actually do?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by how big this problem is.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I think the important thing to remember is that we all have a part to play.
In fighting hate?
In fighting hate, yeah.
So what can we do?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Oh, yeah?
Like understanding how hate shows up and being honest with ourselves about our own biases.
Oh, yeah. That's tough.
It is.
But important.
Absolutely.
Because we all have biases.
We do.
Whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And it's only by acknowledging them that we can start to change.
Exactly.
So awareness is the first step.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then it's about taking action.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing.
Right.
It can be small.
Like what?
Like if you hear someone telling a prejudiced joke.
Yeah.
You can say something.
Okay.
You can educate yourself about different cultures or support organizations that are working to make things better.
So it's about changing our mindset from this is someone else's problem to what can I do to help, even if it's just a small thing.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are people out there who want to make a difference too.
Right.
So find them.
Yeah, connect with them.
Join community groups. Be an ally to people who are being targeted.
Yeah, support each other.
Exactly.
So California's working on this from the top down, but it really comes down to all of us.
Yeah.
To make this vision of a safe and inclusive state a reality.
Right. It's a collective effort.
So we've learned a lot in this deep dive.
We have.
About how California is fighting hate.
Yeah. A lot of information.
But now I want to leave you with a question.
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about the hotline and the Pride Tour and those statistics.
Yeah.
And even what some organizations are doing to fight hate.
Like the YMCA.
Right, exactly.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but before we go, I
yeah,
want to bring it back to you.
to the listener.
Yeah, to the listener.
Okay.
What does all this mean for you? How can you be a part of the solution?
That's the big question.
It is.
And I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like this problem is just so big.
Right.
But I think the main thing to remember here is that every single person can make a difference.
In fighting hate.
Exactly.
So how do we do that?
Well, it starts with just being aware.
Okay.
Like understanding what hate looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can take so many forms.
Right.
And we have to be honest with ourselves
That's
about
the
our
thing.
own biases.
Oh, man, that's hard.
It is. It's not easy.
But it's so important.
It is.
Because we all have biases.
We do.
Even if we don't realize it.
Right. And it's only by admitting that
that
we can start to do something about it.
So awareness is the first step.
Yes. Awareness is key.
And then what?
And then we have to actually do something.
Take action.
Take action, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be some big, huge thing.
No, not at all.
It could be small things.
Yeah.
It could be small things. Like what kind of small things?
Well, like if you hear someone telling a racist joke, you can say something.
Okay.
Or you can learn about different cultures or support organizations that are fighting for equality.
So it's about changing how we think about this.
It is.
It's not someone else's problem.
Right? It's all of our responsibility.
We all have to do our part.
Exactly.
Even if it seems small.
Even if it's just a small step.
And we don't have to do it alone.
No, we don't.
There's so many people out there
who
are working to make things better.
So find those people.
Connect with them.
Yeah.
Join a group.
Stand up for people who are being targeted.
Be an ally.
Be an ally, exactly.
So California is doing what it can. But in the end, it's up to all of us.
That is.
To create a state where everyone feels safe.
And respected.
And respected.
And valued.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to think about what you've learned.
Yeah.
And what you can do to be a part of the solution.
Because you can make a difference.
You really can.
Even if it's just a small one.
And remember, if you need help,
yeah,
there are resources out there.
Like the California versus Hate hotline. Right.
You can call them at 833-8-NO-HATE.
That's 833-8-NO-HATE.
Or you can visit their website.
It's cavushate.org.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.